Hi, my name's Ian and welcome to the channel if you've not been here before, and if you have been here before then welcome back. In this video we're going to be doing a few little minor upgrades on the van. It's basically jobs that I never got round to finishing whilst I was building it, and also whilst we've been using the van I've noticed there's one or two little bits of bobs on there that have been niggles and just little jobs that just need doing just to make the van finished. So what we'll do is I'll crack into showing you what I've been up to and what I'm about to do as well, because this is sort of like halfway through the jobs that I'm doing on it, and I'll see you in a bit. Cheers. Small upgrade that I'm making today is on the right hand side. You can see the tap there with the red handle on it. That is a new outlet now, so an on-off tap for turning the waste, getting the wastewater out of the waste tank. I also now want to do the same on the cold water side as well, because these taps are absolutely a load of rubbish. This is the older, the waste one, and every time I came to try and get the waste out of it, the thing used to spin around and try to come off. It was just rubbish really. So I've gone with some proper plumbing parts to do that. So see underneath there, get down on the floor. Basically now we've done it, so I've got a 22mm to 15mm reducer on there, then with the tap on it, and then I've got 22mm pipe. It goes up inside this waste pipe here. I've used it like a neoprene seal around there as well, and then tighten the whole thing down there with a Jubilee clip. So as I said, I'm going to be doing the same now on the other side. So what I've now just done with the other one is I've cut some 22mm pipe, put a neoprene seal up inside this, which is about, I don't know, 3 inches long, something like that. It goes up inside it around the pipe. Then we've got Jubilee clip on there, and then I've now got the 22 to 15 reducer on there. So that's now going to come through this hole here, and then I'll connect the pipe up the same as what I've done with this one here. So I've now cut a piece of 15mm pipe which has gone onto the reducer, and then obviously then this tap will then fit onto that, or the other tap for the fresh water outlet. Well, that's both of the taps now on. They're both in their closed position, so what I'm going to do now is I've already tested the waste tank side of it, which is the red one. I'm now going to fill up the cold water side on the underslung tank and just make sure it holds pressure and doesn't start leaking everywhere. Right, so I've now started filling up the tank. Let's see what happens on the other side. Right, so it's been filling now for about 3 or 4 minutes. And there's nothing coming out at the moment, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get washing up bowl and just see whether the tap lets water out when we open it up, and then shut it back down and then just see whether it holds there, because there might be an airlock in there at the moment. So, moment of truth, let's see whether it's going to be leaking. Tank's now been filling up for a few minutes, so there should be enough in the pipe to start letting it out at this end. There we go. Out of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to now turn the tap off and just make sure it's not leaking anywhere else. In fact, I can see it dripping out the back at the moment. Well, I did have a minor leak on it a while ago, and I just had to adjust the Jubilee clip on there. This probably wasn't quite tightening up around the rubber seal properly. But that now seems to be holding. I'm still filling the tank up at the moment. It's probably getting on towards around half to 3/4 full, so obviously it's going to be holding some pressure on there now. So I'm going to fill the tank up to the top and then release it, put the tap back on, release again. I mean, in reality I only ever empty this fresh water tank when we come back from being away, so it's not like it's being opened and closed on a daily basis. So yeah, see what happens in a minute. Right,
the water tank's full. You can actually see it's come out over the overflows at the top of it, so that's all dripping out now. So basically this tap is now holding full pressure on the joint, and I can't see anything whatsoever coming out of there at the moment. Not a drip, nothing. So yeah, looks like that was a success.
Part of rejigging these waste taps was also so I could then connect up a hose lock connector to it and add a piece of pipe. This is actually a bit of conduit actually that I used in part of the van build, but it's actually working brilliantly as a waste pipe. So on certain sites they have service pitches, so that'll be ideal just to run the pipe straight off onto it. Obviously I'm not just draining the fresh water tank out at the moment, but this would normally get used on the waste pipe instead on this side. So obviously when we're onto a site with a service pitch, obviously we can plug that straight in, and then obviously then we can go straight into the pipe without the need to have a waste tank, or a separate waste tank should I say, or some way of actually getting the waste off. One of the things I want to do is I want to connect this pipe up to a hose lock connector, just a short section of it. I've got the other sections on a long one at the moment, but what I want to do is, in case I need to take the water from the underslung waste tank and then put it into a separate waste tank just to get it off on a site somewhere, then having a short piece of pipe is always really useful. So basically what I need to do, I've just opened up the splines on this. This is an old hose lock connector I've had for years, but it'll do the job. So basically we slot that onto there, got the nut on there, and that just tightens up. Onto there. Job done, short piece of pipe. Right, today we're going to be fitting these push button locks into most of the cupboard doors. The only one I'm not going to be doing it in is that one at the end there, because I've not had a problem with that one opening. But while we've been driving, sometimes these doors sometimes come open, especially this one, even though it's on a spring hinge. I think the force, perhaps this has not been pushed back in properly or something like that, but maybe also because the missus has overloaded it with tins. We did have an occasion a couple of times I went around a corner and this all came open, and then obviously forced the door open as well at the same time. So by putting these push button locks in there, that's then going to stop that from happening. All of these doors actually are on magnets as well, at the top there, at the bottom, and all the other ones the same as well, but I'll say it's just the bolt and braces. It's going to be a little bit of a head scratching job, because once the lock's fitted, it needs to sit around there. So I'm going to have to measure from the inside of this sort of flange area and find the middle of the measure to the middle of the knob, and then when I shut the door I then need to, as I've got a gap there, I need to then measure across to wherever that's then going to sit in the relevant position for it. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a head scratching job and rather butt clenching, I think, every time we drill a hole in this door, because obviously if I make a mistake, then that mistake's going to be there forever. What I've done so far is I'm just measuring everything up, double checking it, triple checking it, because the distances that we've got on some of these when I made the cupboards up, these distances here obviously vary between the different cupboards, so I'm having to measure each one individually. The distance between here and the end of here is usually where the metal bit fits that it locks onto, and then obviously then we've got a gap here between here and the door, so then I'm to take that measurement as well. So in this case, where the cross is on here, that's where the hole needs to be drilled. The only thing is they're not going to line up with my handles, which I'm not quite sure how annoying that's going to be when I get to it. So what may happen at some point is I might sort of make some sort of a plate to fit onto here, top and bottom, which means I could probably jig the handles over, so they're not quite so obvious, but I think I'll just fit them all and see what it looks like when I'm finished. Right, get the drill out. So I'm just measuring now to see what size hole I need to drill. So I've just got the micrometer out, and this measures out at 20 millimeters. So we're going to drill it out. with this 20mm wood bit. Just ignore the masking tape and picked it up, but when I'm drilling through one of these wood bits, I always like go through 3/4 of the way through until it pokes out the other side there, and then come through from the other side, and that saves all the tear out that you're likely to get. When I put the insert in, it is a tiny bit loose, but what I'll do is I'll just use a little bit of liquid nails just to hold it in place. I did toy with the idea of using a 19mm bit that I had, but I thought that might just be too tight. I suppose I could have filed it out, but as I said, it's barely anything, so just a bit of no nails in there and that'll sort it out. Right, that's the first one in. As I said, I've got to just stick in the outer section there, but basically if we push the button in there now, the door doesn't open at all. The other thing I had to do on this one, which is a bit of a learning curve, is the bit of plastic trim that's in here. I've just had to cut that back a bit just to get it to go, so when I put the next ones in, I'll either allow to cutting that out, or preferably I'll just end up moving the measurements over by another couple of millimeters just to allow me to get past that. But yeah, it's a bum clenching exercise when you start drilling through these doors, because you've only got one chance with them. And then that's the view from the back. Nothing on that. And now that just pushes across about there. It's hard work doing this. There's always time for coffee and cake. Oh, that's it now. That's all 5 of them now done. There. On that, on that, and one here. So I've now glued the outer ring in position, so I'm just going to leave them in the unlock position for now until the glue's set. Right, the next job we're going to be tackling is between these doors, the seal on them. I've noticed this on quite a number of vans. It never quite seals up properly, and there's always a little bit of a breeze. So the plan is now I'm going to make a panel that will fit on the right hand door, which is obviously the left hand one on the outside. So that'll fit on that side there, because this door shuts first, and then it'll come across onto the other side, and it'll just act as a little bit of a hopefully a wind stopper. So basically what I've done here is I've taken a 3mm piece of plywood, wrapped it in carpet, and then just used some self-tapping dome head screws to hold it in position. And I've not gone all the way down the door because I don't think I need it. It's just literally to protect down to the sort of below where the mattress sits, and then if we do get some air going in the bottom, that's fine, because that will add a little ventilation in there. So now looking at it from the inside, you can now see that the main of that door is now covered up. Obviously I had to leave the section at the top there, or the locking mechanism is, etc. May still be a bit of a breeze comes through the top there. There's nothing much you can do about that. On these vans, as it stands, the sliding door will only lock in this position here at the far end. There's sometimes when you want the door to come down to this point here, so you're not letting so much air in. So I thought myself, well, I'll just let the door slide, just get the door into a certain position. The problem is with these L4s, I know it's the same on any other model, but the door has a tendency to want to come and slide on its own. So basically over a period of time it will shut itself. So I came up with the idea of making the same bracket that's down here, just down there. You can see like a piece of metal sticking out. So what I did a few weeks ago, I made another piece of metal just here of exactly a very similar sort of shape. So now what happens is when the door comes down, it stops there. So we can have the door either in the fully open position and locked back, or in the half closed position and locked back. So basically all that is just a piece of bent metal with a couple of self-tapping screws in there, and that was it. But obviously then to get the door to shut again, obviously pull the handle so it opens it up. You can actually see the mechanism opening and closing there, and then it runs past it and then goes to the closed position. And apart from half an hour of my time, a couple of screws, bit of metal, cost nothing. Another job that I've been doing over the last few days is that all the way up the back of this wardrobe there was a load of cables all went up there, so there's like a void behind this panel that I've now made. So I've got a couple of screws in there that should I ever need to get to the cables, or once I add some more cables in there then I can do that. And basically I've done that in the back of nearly every cupboard where there is any cables running, so at least there's no chance of damaging them, and it also looks far better obviously when you look in there. So again, in this cupboard here you can see there's a couple of screws up the back there, again to make those panels removable should I need to get to the cables behind. Well, that's now some of the upgrades completed. I have actually got a list of some more stuff that I need to get done on the van, but just trying to fit this in between doing my job. If you've got any questions regarding any of the things I've done, please do not hesitate to ask. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next one. Cheers.